Life can be tough, it can knock us down, it can leave us feeling lost and alone. But in those moments, faith becomes our guiding light. It's the beacon that shines through the darkest storms. I remember a story of a young woman named Sarah. She faced a devastating diagnosis: cancer, stage 4. The doctors gave her months to live, but Sarah refused to let go of her faith. She clung to it like a lifeline. Every day she would wake up and thank God for another sunrise. Her faith didn't cure her cancer, but it gave her the courage to face each day with hope and gratitude. Sarah's story reminds me of a powerful quote by Corrie ten Boom: "Never be afraid to trust an unknown future to a known God." This is the essence of faith. It's not about having all the answers. It's about trusting in something greater than ourselves. Sarah's faith carried her through her battle with cancer, inspiring countless others. The Bible is full of wisdom for tough times, but few verses pack as much punch as James 1:2-4. Let's break it down. Consider it pure joy, my brothers and sisters, whenever you face trials of many kinds, because you know that the testing of your faith produces perseverance. Let perseverance finish its work so that you may be mature and complete, not lacking anything. These words were written by James, the brother of Jesus. He knew a thing or two about trials. He lived in a time of persecution. Christians were facing hardships daily, yet he doesn't tell them to despair. He tells them to find joy. Not in the trials themselves, but in what they produce: perseverance. James is saying that our challenges have a purpose. They're not random acts of cruelty. They're opportunities for growth. They're chances to strengthen our faith. The resistance makes us stronger. The struggle builds our spiritual muscles. Life's trials are like a refiner's fire. They burn hot, they're uncomfortable. Sometimes they're downright painful, but they serve a purpose. They burn away the impurities. They strengthen what remains. Think of a blacksmith forging a sword. The metal must endure intense heat and repeated hammering. But the result? A blade of unmatched strength and sharpness. Our trials work in much the same way. They test us. They push us to our limits, but they also reveal our true strength. I once met a man named John. He lost his job, his savings, and his home in the span of a year. It was a crushing blow. But John didn't give up. He used this time to reassess his priorities. He discovered skills he never knew he had. John started a small business from his garage. It wasn't easy. There were days when he wanted to quit, but he persevered. Today, his business employs dozens of people. Hope is a powerful thing. It's what gets us out of bed on the hardest days. It's what keeps us going when everything seems lost. And here's the beautiful truth: hope can't be taken from us. It's not something that others can steal or destroy. Hope is a choice we make. It's a gift we give ourselves. No matter how dire our circumstances, we always have the power to choose hope. It's like a candle in a dark room. The darkness can't snuff it out. Only we can decide to extinguish that flame. This is why hope is so powerful. It's immutable. It's unchangeable. As long as we hold on to it, it remains. No matter what trials we face, we can choose hope. We can choose to believe that better days are coming. And as long as we make that choice, hope remains. Abandoning hope is a dangerous thing. It's like turning off the lights in a dark cave. Without hope, we lose our way. We stumble, we fall, and getting back up becomes harder and harder. I've seen it happen. People who give up hope often spiral into despair. They lose their sense of purpose. They forget their own strength. There's a story in the Bible about a man named Elijah. He was a great prophet. He had performed miracles, but after a particularly tough battle, he lost hope. He ran into the desert. He asked God to take his life. He had forgotten his own strength. He had forgotten God's faithfulness. And in that moment of hopelessness, he was at his weakest. But God didn't abandon Elijah. He sent an angel to care for him. He reminded Elijah of his presence. And slowly, Elijah's hope was rekindled. This story shows us the danger of abandoning hope. It leaves us vulnerable. In times of trial, it's easy to feel alone. But we're not meant to face our challenges in isolation. We're created for community. We're designed to lean on each other. And most importantly, we're invited to lean on God. This is where prayer and community come in. They're lifelines in the storm. They're reminders that we're not alone. Prayer is a powerful tool. It's our direct line to God. When we pray, we're not just talking to the air. We're communicating with the creator of the universe, the one who knows us better than we know ourselves. Prayer doesn't always change our circumstances, but it always changes us. It gives us peace. It renews our strength. It reminds us of God's presence in our lives. Community is equally important. We need people who can support us, encourage us, and sometimes just sit with us in our pain. I think of the story of Job. When he lost everything, his friends came and sat with him for 7 days. They didn't say a word. They just provided presence. That's the power of community. It reminds us that we're not alone in our struggles. So, if you're facing trials, don't face them alone. Reach out in prayer. Pour out your heart to God. One of the most powerful truths in the Bible is that God is always with us. He's not a distant deity watching from afar. He's right here, in every moment, in our joys and in our sorrows, in our triumphs and in our trials. Remembering this can change everything. It can turn our perspective upside down. It can give us strength we didn't know we had. Think about it. The creator of the universe, the one who hung the stars in the sky, is with you right now. He's with you when you wake up in the morning. He's with you as you face your challenges. He's with you when you lie down at night. This isn't just a nice thought, it's a promise from God himself. In Matthew 28 verse 20, Jesus says, "And surely I am with you always, to the very end of the age." But how do we remember this truth in the midst of our trials? It takes practice. It takes intentionality. We can start by looking for God in the little things, in the kindness of a stranger, in the beauty of nature, in the love of family and friends. These are all reminders of God's presence and love. We can also cultivate habits that help us remember God's presence. Trials are never easy, they're not meant to be, but they can be incredibly valuable. They're like a refiner's fire, burning away the impurities and leaving behind something precious. This is what James meant when he talked about trials producing perseverance. He understood that challenges, when faced with faith, can lead to tremendous growth. Think of a diamond. It starts as a lump of coal. It's only through intense pressure and heat that it becomes something valuable. Our trials work in much the same way. They put pressure on us. They heat up our lives. But if we hold on to our faith, if we persevere, we can emerge as something beautiful and valuable. I once met a woman named Maria. She had lost her husband to cancer. It was devastating. For months, she could barely function. But slowly, with the help of her faith and her community, she began to heal. She started a support group for other widows. She found purpose in her pain. Today, she says that while she would never have chosen this path, she's grateful for the person she's become through it. This is the power of embracing growth through challenges. Life can often feel like a stormy sea. The waves crash, the wind howls. It's easy to feel tossed about, with no sense of direction or stability. But faith gives us an anchor. It keeps us grounded when everything else is in chaos. It gives us a fixed point to orient ourselves, no matter how rough the waters get. This anchor of faith isn't about having all the answers. It's not about understanding why we're going through what we're going through. It's about trusting in something bigger than ourselves. It's about believing that there's a purpose, even when we can't see it. It's about holding on to hope, even when everything seems hopeless. I'm reminded of the story of Peter walking on water. When he kept his eyes on Jesus, he could do the impossible. He could walk on the stormy sea, but the moment he looked at the waves, he began to sink. Our faith works in much the same way. When we keep our focus on God, we can weather any storm. We can walk through impossible situations. Being anchored in faith doesn't mean the storms won't come. Perseverance isn't a one-time act. It's a daily choice. It's choosing to take one more step when you feel like you can't go on. It's choosing to get up one more time when you've been knocked down. It's a journey of 1,000 steps, each one a testament to your faith and determination. I think of the story of the Israelites in the desert. Their journey to the Promised Land wasn't easy. It was filled with hardships. There were times when they wanted to give up, times when they longed for the familiarity of Egypt, even though it meant slavery. But they kept going, one step at a time, one day at a time, and eventually, they reached their destination. Our journeys often look similar. We may not be wandering in a physical desert, but we all face our own wildernesses, times of uncertainty, times of hardship, times when the destination seems impossibly far away. But like the Israelites, we're called to keep moving forward, to take one more step, to trust that each step is bringing us closer to where we need to be. As we come to the end of our exploration of James 1 verses 2 to 4, let's remember the core message. Our trials have purpose. They shape us into who we are meant to be.